everyone. This is Bea from the marketing team of WeGrow VA. We're back with another interview with another awesome guest. Over here at WeGrow VA, alongside our pursuit of helping businesses and people grow into their full potential through virtual assistants, we're also in pursuit of meaningful conversations that push us and our audience to grow even further in any aspect of their life. And today's conversation will be no different. We're going to learn how to prepare for launch, your business guide with Matt Holmes. Also, if you want to watch or listen to the rest of our conversations, then head on over to our YouTube channel. Just search for WeGrow VA or check out the link in our bio. So, all right, let's get this started. Let me introduce first our awesome guest. So, Matt Holmes is the Director and Chief Strategy Officer at LaunchGuide.io. LaunchGuide helps scale the reach of your searches, grow your enterprise, and scale sustainable revenue. They tend to each client through an enterprise sales and marketing consultation, followed by a custom-built or rework of the client's website. They also help curate high-performing suite of web solutions that are tailor-fit to every client's tools, brand, and brand strategy. Matt has experience as a market leader and district manager for Bank of America for over 15 years for the greater Seattle and southern Washington markets. Matt also has a bachelor's degree in political economy and a master's in business administration. With all of this experience and insight under his belt, we can't wait for a conversation with Matt. And for today, we'll be talking about how to prepare for your business launch. So Matt's already here with us, and I wanted to say, hi, how are you?
How's it going, Bea? Thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So, um, let's get on with those questions. As I mentioned earlier, you obviously have an incredible experience working for 15 years for Bank of America,
Sure.
but then we have Launch Guide. So I just wanted to ask, why did you start Launch Guide?
It's in a continuation of the previous, actually. Launch Guide is an extension of something I've been doing since about 2006, which is just helping business owners to the best of my ability. I love being in a support role. We think that marketing is the greatest way to help that. And at the end of the day, we help people make sales, which is what's going to help them grow, stay in business, and take care of their families and the people that they care for.
I love that. I love that. So, in the digital age, what do you think are the absolute needs of a business before they officially launch?
It's interesting because the digital component doesn't make it any different than from the days of brick and mortar. I'll say 5 things. Know your business model, right? You need to be able to articulate what that is. There's a dozen that come to my mind. I think business owners today need to know how to scale, right? How do you 2, 3, 5, and 10x your business? Otherwise, you're still just trading time for money. You might wish you'd not done it. I think that folks need to really consider what their strategic risks are. So what could, dampen your ability to grow or sustain? And last 2 would be, what's your burn rate? How long can you do this for if you're building a bridge to something else? Or if you just jumped straight in, leaping before looking, which I don't recommend. The last one would be, what's your exit strategy, right? Is this something you're going to do until retirement? Are you selling? Do you have a pivot upcoming, or is it something you pass on to your kids, like via legacy or something like that? So I think there's a lot of things to consider. Digital component just means how we do that's going to be a little bit different as well.
Ooh, that's an interesting part because the points that you've made show it makes you think about the timeline. It really is just about longevity, right? And
I
I
can
didn't
agree.
think about I didn't think about it that way initially, that I think people go into a business thinking that they don't really think of the end goal as much, or as I've noticed, I guess, with businesses that have, you know, opened and closed around me. But yeah, okay.
Well, it's there. It's like, and the heart of it, we just want to take care of the client, right? Everybody's just
Mm-hmm.
really trying to maximize their ability to help someone do what they love doing.
Yeah.
That's the vision. So I know folks are putting that in the forefront. I think simultaneously you have to manage like the strategy component. Is it something you're
Mm-hmm.
doing for 5 years, 10 years? Are you trying to achieve a revenue target or replace some income if you left the profession, or
Mm-hmm.
and part of the great resignation? I think you got to consider those things.
I totally agree with you on those points. So those are the things that business owners should think about before they launch. But in your experience, what do you think are the most common mistakes a business makes after they've launched?
What I can say, Bea, is that I've absolutely made all of them. So mostly, like what I'm informing people, is
Okay.
obviously it's a body of work, that we're putting together to be able to say, hey, prescriptively, here's what you need to be able to do.
Yeah.
There's an algorithm depending on some business industries that you're in the sector. It's pretty straightforward to cut and dry. The business owner just has to be able to do it. But yeah, I've made every mistake known to man, and so don't do those. So common pitfalls. Yeah, this is a great question. Number one would be
Hmm.
common misconception. Number one, I'll think of two. One would be believing that you're going to put up a website and that the sales and traffic are going to come. And it's absolutely not. Unfortunately, and it is unfortunate, 100% of the people that we tell about our site, they will go, but no one else will. Zero of anybody else will. So we have to think about marketing, right? And so I need business owners to think like, hey, I've got a budget to build a site, make some sales, manage cost of goods sold. They need to factor, what am I going to do to market this thing? And then second one is like, hey, I don't want to start my social media today, right? I want to wait till I'm almost there. And I'm like, no, 90 days isn't even enough to engage with a future audience that you could be wanting to maybe interact with and hopefully grow your revenue and sales with. So I think lead times is everything, and if people are looking to do something in the future, they need to get started today.
Oh, I definitely hear you on that because obviously I'm in the marketing team as well over here, and I understand that like people need to understand the power of social media and the power of marketing. Like you can have a great product, you can have a great service, but if it's not out there, if it's not getting the right traction, it's like the leads aren't gonna come in. So you need
Sure.
to, you really need to also focus on these things. And it does surprise me that a lot of people kind of launch things before setting up kind of like their social media. Or maybe that's also coming from me in my perspective that all of these things are part of like I guess the pre-production before you launch.
Sure. I would say, on one hand, I encourage everybody to not get hung up on any one thing because the perfectionist in all of us will derail any the best and most fantastic business ideas.
Hmm.
So yeah, at some point you got to get going with it, and sometimes it can't be good; it just has to be good enough. Was talking about that with
Hmm.
Paul actually today, who I know I guess is one of our WeGrow VA associates there on my team here with Launchguide. But so, and then the other things to consider are that yeah, people use the Web 3.0 really comes down to like my ability to authenticate you. If you are the seller, I might need to understand what your background's like, maybe a little bit about any social purposes you serve, but also to like authenticate your identity, right? I need to know that you are who you say you are, and social media is not just anymore like a content marketing strategy. It is that, but it's also authentication, so it's relevant for those reasons.
Ooh, I hear you on that because other than authentication, the word that kind of came to me is reputation and
Sure,
brand awareness. It's really there. Because if
I
you're on
agree.
the web and you're searchable and people can check you out, because like when before you buy something, you're gonna check for reviews. So if you hear something new, you're gonna like let's say, I don't know, maybe think about launch guide. Or I guess us over here on WeGrow VA, if you're thinking of like trying to see who we are, you need to be out there first. Like clients aren't gonna come in seeing clients are not gonna try to like be no okay, I'm sorry, clients are not gonna be interested in you if they can't
Sure.
see anything that you've done or at least can
Uh,
offer is what
I
I'm
would
saying.
absolutely agree. I think the same. I think people want to know, they want to kind of interact with the owner and they want to kind of interact with the values a little bit and be able to, in a non-threatening way, like feel comfortable asking a silly question, or in a non-threatening way, be able to like, just kind of kick the tires on this thing. So like, well, what are the costs? Like, how does it benefit me? Kind of understand that without, getting a full sales push. How does Launch Guide address that? Show up and stand out online, right? I think if you're in marketing like yourself, it's like, hey, we need to have this presence, create brand awareness, and then stand out. Like, what makes you separate? I do tell business owners a funny little thing that's a little counterintuitive that I think you'll appreciate. I generally assess that your marketing needs to be like stand out, stand out, stand out. But then once we come into the site or the sales process, it's like you got to blend in, blend in, blend in. The website needs to be kind of what I expect to find when I get there. And when I'm in the sales process, it should kind of be expect what I thought I was going to feel, right? Like the right amount of comfort and so forth and engagement. And so stand out, stand out, stand out, blend in, blend in, blend in. I think it's what we're all trying to work on. So
No, I totally hear you on that. And what I think about that is like, yeah, you need to stand out, but you also need to tend to your user experience,
sure.
right? So like when they see you, like, oh, this is cool, but like things also have to flow in order for them to like easily find you, or like things are, yeah, accessible and that kind of stuff.
Eliminate redundancy, make action easy to take when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with all those things.
Yeah.
I think that marketing anymore, you brought up digital earlier. I think a couple facts, I think it's like something like this, right? Don't quote me, but about, I think it's like 51% of the, at least of the United States market, where I reside, just turned to where the majority iPhone users, right? And that might not be unique, but it's the first for us as far as I've read. And then, but interestingly, 80+ percent of traffic is still being sorted and managed by Google. So, when you think about how you have to stand out, show up and stand out online, you really need an Apple Map strategy if you're a home-based business or if you're a location-based business. But then you also need to be able to understand, like, okay, how does your profile look on Google, and can folks review you there or not? You mentioned reviews, which we're obviously huge into. So
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Love this part of our conversation, probably because I relate a little more because I understand this part of
yeah,
it. Yeah. So going back though, I wanted to ask next is what kind of support should businesses invest in from the get-go? Like maybe something they didn't think of at first.
sure. An operational or organizational set of tools, framework, or tech, right? So there's a bunch of wonderful programs that we can use to project manage or to ensure that the operations in any organization are being done. I would start there. I would second look at thinking about how your service shows up and stands out. Like, what do your clients need? Because I got to tell you, part of my business is software as a service, and there's no service in this business, man. So it's like, I think you need to consider, like, what amount of time will you be able to invest in your client? Because you need to pencil that in for sure from a scheduling and time prioritization standpoint. um, I do think a site I've seen, $10,000 sites I've looked at and got a chance to observe a 200K site, and I've looked at it basically a free site. Um, you can make them perform, but you should know what you're getting at each budget point. Be prepared to invest something and know what you get at each price point within the website or web development business. Um, I think definitely investing in an online presence and what kind of your search avatar looks like. So I think of SEO, SEM. Those are expenditures you have to be able to make. A review fetching service or an automation service that helps it make it easy for me to rate you. Just to name a few, backlinks and on-site, off-site SEO. I think that, like, how I came across your firm, for example, is worth bringing up though, because I think the ability to 2, 3, 5, 10x your labor costs, right, in terms of what you can get out of that is really important when you think about, I'm going to lay out this expenditure, whatever it is. How do you get your money back, and then how do you get a return? So I think something like a virtual assistant is one of these ways that we're going to go do that anymore. So there's some other things you could look at, but those would be a few that I would start with for sure.
I love that. And thank you so much for that
Sure.
plug, Matt. So, for anyone who's listening, anyone who wants to scale their business or is in need of entrepreneurial excellence or any sort of help, virtual assistants can help you with that. So, you can go to our website, wegrowva.com. We can book a schedule, and yeah, we can talk more about that. Going back, so Matt, last question.
Sure.
Any last advice for business owners who are getting ready to launch?
Yeah, don't bother to be a perfectionist, to be a productionist. Okay. Like, we want to get it perfect, and what I think we got to be able to find as entrepreneurs is, like, you have to have what you perceive as a scalable business model. You have to put it out there. Just be willing to take feedback from the marketplace, not feedback from everyone. Be cautious in who you take feedback from. Everybody's opinion is going to be there for you. You got to figure out the ones that are most critical, find people who are where you want to be and accept theirs, like seek their viewpoint out. I would say keep an open mind. I think the moment you turn a closed mind to anything, you're basically like ignoring a whole group of people that could need your services. So be very open minded.
Love that. I love all of that. So, to anyone who's been listening or stayed tuned, we tackled on a lot of things on how Launch Guide started, getting to know Matt, his tips, and a lot of his technical insight. That's like, yeah, you're gonna have to listen to this whole thing. So, um, But I wanted to cap it off with the last thing that Matt said, which is don't bother to be a perfectionist, but be a productionist. I really like that. I'm gonna keep that in mind for the rest of the week.
Because at
So
the end of the day, you got to get it done. People depend on you,
yeah,
so deliver.
yeah. So Matt, this is the part of this interview where I ask you to tell the viewers and listeners how to find you, how to find Launch Guide, and how to get in touch. Promo
For
time.
sure. All right. So I think the easiest way to understand about like who I'm looking to help, how and kind of our track record, portfolio, and resume would be at. I'd have you go to LinkedIn, right? I'd have you look up go to LinkedIn, go to the launch guy one. I think that there you really get a sense of how we try to put our client at the forefront, brag about them, help them get through, build up to launch day, and then on launch day we try to make that really exciting and fun, and really just yeah, add a little sizzle to the steak, man. I would say our LinkedIn handle is going to be the best place to go see like how we articulate who we've helped and how, and then things that Launch Guide can be able to do for you or your customers.
I love that. And don't worry, we'll be putting all of Matt and Launch Guide's links in the bio. And don't forget, if you're a business owner that is in need of growing your business to achieve entrepreneurial excellence by hiring a virtual assistant, or you're just curious to know more about what we can offer, then make sure to get in touch with us, WeGrow VA. Head over to our website, wegrowva.com, schedule a call. And don't forget to follow WeGrow VA over on all of our social media to be updated on the latest ins and outs on anything and everything. Link in bio. So thank you once again to Matt and everyone who stayed until the end, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.